Let me share it with all the places as soon as you do it.
Oh yeah, don't worry, it's done. This will be great pre-roll. You ready?
Surely.
Really? Surely or shortly? Which is it?
Surely, you can't be serious. Go ahead.
I'm Brian Anderson.
And I'm Bobby Fazio. And welcome to another edition of Class Racing Today. All right, November 16th, 2020. This year is flying by. Brian, what is going on? What is going on in South Dakota?
Oh, we're just living the dream over here, enjoying our freedoms. Kind of dusted off the race car today, checked things out, figured out, all right, where we're going to start the projects. I'm waiting to see, like, when's the Arizona Association? If anybody out here is listening in the Arizona Stock Association, like, I want to know what your schedule is, because last year the first race, I think, was January 20th, and if I want my car ready to go down there, I got to get moving. So, anybody
That's
listen
Hawk.
live
Hawk.
or sees that, we need that going.
Matt Hawk, Brad Hawk. I think if they're not listening right now, they will probably tune in eventually.
Everybody listens to the show. Why won't you?
Good loyal listeners.
Well, that's my plan. I want to go down there and test and get ready for the big money race. So I think we're running out of time. You know, it seems like the season ends, the guy runs around, goes like crazy, and then all of a sudden, boy, it's going to happen again pretty early. So time to get the sheets ready and start. I'm going to make a list this year, just like Santa Claus. You know, make a list, check it twice, and figure out if I'm going to be naughty or nice.
That was a good one. I like that. Okay. How much snow? How much snow in the Dakotas right now?
Well, we have zero snow right here. We're kind of in the valley, so we're pretty fortunate. I think it was 45 degrees today and no snow, so feeling good.
Yeah, we're almost in Minnesota. I mean, if you're honest about it, just outside though.
If our heads were a little rounder, we would be in Minnesota. Besides the South Dakota joke, we call Minnesotans round heads. For everybody from not Minnesota wondering what a round head is, yeah, they're kind of like cheese heads, but their heads are just rounder. You know, cheese heads are more rectangular.
Nice.
My states. I have not been to. Actually, never mind. I was in Minnesota. What am I talking about? Never been to the Dakotas. I feel like I'm not missing much, right?
Hey now.
I think, Bobby, you know your dream is you're gonna someday we're gonna take this episode live from Fargo, since we know that's your favorite movie.
Yeah. I gotta work on my accent, eh?
We're gonna do a traveling road show. We're gonna go to all the desolate towns.
Maybe get the Coen brothers to direct that episode for us, too.
I don't think they do as good a job as Craig.
You got that right.
Wait, so the assumption is that I'm directing you.
You're the director.
Sure.
You know,
This show would not
writer.
be.
If the jokes are terrible, Craig's the writer. And
Perfect.
I'm just reading my teleprompter here.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I'm gonna get Craig one of our Class Racing Today hats, so the glare off of his bald head doesn't
That's
get in
right.
front of the teleprompter, so it'd make things a lot better.
She's just jealous you don't have a beard.
Hey, I'm trying. It's just about the end of No Shave November. I'm getting close.
Nice.
But
I mean, even Bobby has one.
I can't do that.
Kinda.
I can go about a week and a half, and I'm just like, no, I'm over it. It's just dead weight. I can't afford that kind of dead weight in my race car. It doesn't work good enough.
I'm sure that's the problem.
The dead weight's more inside behind the hair. It's 99 problems.
it was so funny last week. John McLaughlin was like, I get amped up when I have to race like the good guys. I get more nervous when I have to race people like Brian. He said.
But then he feels bad, and he's like, no, you're doing really good. You're doing really good. Yeah.
How do you backpedal out of that one?
Oh, Johnny. I don't know why I'm still friends with him. He convinced me to get into stock Eliminator racing. Like, how can you still be friends with that guy?
Because he wanted to position himself on the ladder against you first round everywhere he went. See if he can get those extra 30 or 40 points, whatever it is.
You know, That's
Hey,
why.
friend, come on in. Race stock eliminator. It doesn't take any brains or skill. I'll show you what to do. Just run me first round. I'll teach you.
I felt like we got so much bad advice from John, and he made me so mad with that statement. I'm like, we really have to step up our game. So we got in-house world champion Jody Lang today. How cool is that?
Amazing. Craig, come on, give me something.
Oh crap! Shoot,
Let's go.
I'm dropping the ball, man. Talk about the producer. Jeez. Oh, hold on. Hang on. This has got to be good.
Epic fail.
Totally
All right,
fail. Yeah,
Since we're live, we're just gonna pause.
I like it.
Hey!
There you go.
Hey.
Yeah, that was weak sauce. I'm sorry, Jody. I apologize for all that.
See, the world champion's so cool, it doesn't even phase him.
Nah.
I'm just gonna sit here and be awesome.
No, he's probably bored with winning.
Does that happen, Jody?
A
You ever be like,
a driving
No.
idol too many.
I wonder what's for supper tonight after I win?
There you go. That's more like it.
Is that the world champion
do I re-
mindset? Like,
Do I really have to pull over and do an interview, or can I just load up and leave?
man, I wonder if Justin's just gonna leave his car in the trailer so I can go get my trophy.
Yeah, we got time. Where's dinner?
That's too funny. I hope John gets his kitchen going. That is one thing we talked about last episode. Is if anybody's ever at a racetrack with John McLaughlin, you got to at least swing by there at snack time because the dude, steak, potatoes, like he's got racetrack living down to a science for as far as the meals go.
He is hanging out in the chat right now on Facebook.
Oh boy,
Look out.
yeah,
Come on, Brian, just trying to motivate you.
yeah.
That's what he said.
Look, what's motivating me is 2 races for 25 grand to win. Like, that's got me kind of excited. I might not be a purist, but heads
Nothing
up,
wrong with that.
qualifying to make the chart. Like, let's make stock eliminator racing good again.
Yep.
Is
Cool
that-
deal.
Is that the new slogan?
Yeah, make it great again. Yeah. I don't know why that would be in my head.
Should be.
Not that it ever wasn't great, but come on, if you're not qualifying on a ladder, you're not really class racing, are you?
True.
I mean, if we want to go by reaction times, don't they call that like bracket 1 or bracket 2? Like,
For sure.
Pro ET.
yeah, buy a pipe rack if you want to qualify that way.
Yeah.
Boy, we're getting kind of.
Yeah.
This is kind of a different mood we've had. Normally, we're so nice and friendly. We drink our coffee in the mornings. In the evening, we're kind of ornery, like
Yeah.
making fun of
It's
round
different.
heads and
Cheese heads, round heads.
It's
Pro ET.
almost
Of course
Bobby's.
you're gonna be-
It's almost Bobby's bedtime, isn't it?
Yeah. Got that right.
that's why we had to call you,
My
Jody.
My stepson keeps opening the door. He's like peeking in. He's like, I wanna say hi. And I was kept giving him like, come on, not today. So,
Come on, you meanie.
Most of our audience
I was
is
supposed to
listening
tell
at
him
5
when
a.m.
when we first hooked up and like we said hi to each other. He wanted to come in and say hi, but I forgot to tell him. So
Ugh.
next time. All right. I'm gonna go through some winners here. Now,
Yeah.
if anybody's been paying attention to our Facebook page, we've really been trying to give recognition to the divisional champions, top 5. We've been putting the top 5 in each division. We're making our way through the country. We started with Division 1, stock and super stock, and we were kind of just giving them. We want to give them at least a day or at least a half a day to get some recognition on there. So since we started with Division 1, because it's the best, and are making our way out to Division 7, we will start giving some verbal recognition to Division 7 and work our way toward Division 1. So, let's start with some stock eliminator. Division 7. Number 1, Division Champ, Steve Wan. How fast is that guy, by the way? Number 2, Ryan Mangus. Number 3, Justin Lamb. Number 4, Kyle Rizzoli. Number 5, Michael Williams. That's a killer lineup right there.
Is that
Steve
the tou-
Wan, though,
is that the toughest division? Like, there's a
I don't
interesting
know.
top.
I mean,
yet
every
to talk about.
division's going to say they're the toughest division, and you
That's
always
right.
you have like multiple killers in every division. I mean,
Well, I've never raced
No,
any
we-
of those guys, but I'm pretty sure they could all beat me, so I could say that that's the toughest division.
Thing is, that race, there was those 5 guys all had a shot to win it, I believe, at that last race. Pretty sure.
Yeah, I saw.
Pretty
we
good race.
Yeah, it's just that's got to be
we
brutal.
know for sure. Yeah, we know for sure Justin Lamb still had a shot. In the end, but I think it was until Jody made it to third or fourth round in that last race, and then it shut him out. If I got
But
that right.
as far as for Division 7, I believe even Mike Williams there in 5th
Oh yeah,
had a
right.
shot to tie Steve Wan, and they were talking like he had a shot to win it still. So 5 guys
Right.
still with a
Steve
shot
Wan
at the
had-
last race. It's pretty incredible.
Yeah, Steve Wan finished with 331 points. Mangus was right behind him at 330 points. Ryan Mangus, um, does he own the car that he drives? That was a Justin Lamb car at one time. I don't know if Justin Lamb still owns it and Ryan drives it, or if Ryan purchased it
Steve
off of
Williams.
him, or if somebody purchased it.
Yep, Steve Williams bought that car for his daughter, and she's been running Super Street. And Mangus's car, it's kind of a weird deal. Well, that's going to be her car down the road. I don't know how far down the road, but that's Steve Williams's car.
Okay, yes, he's a good driver. I mean, I came out to Pomona a couple times in 17, 18 to watch him. I know he was in a final out there when I was there. The one year, I think it was the World Finals in Winter Nationals 18. That's when it was. He had a heads up with Larry Gilly. It was a hell of a race in the final.
Yeah, that's right.
Number 3, Justin Lamb. What else can we say about him? He's just a great driver, super stock. He was really tearing it up at the end. Great equipment, great driver. Not much else you can say about him. He's a local there in Vegas, so I guess it's like his home track. So he might have a little advantage on the other drivers that show up there. Kyle Rizzoli, I've been hearing his name for years. He's a great driver too. And I'm guessing, Jody, these are guys that you probably race on a regular basis, so you know more about these guys than any of us right now.
Yeah, they're all good drivers. I mean, not a lot of people might have heard of Mike Williams, but he's tough, and I mean all those guys are tough. You know, Rizzoli won the Jags, and like you said, Justin speaks for himself. Pretty incredible. Gilly wasn't in the top 5. He's won Indy before. There's guys not in the top 5. They're just clean your clock anytime you go down the track against them.
Well, that's just it at 6. What, Mike Cotton, Phil Mandela Jr., Gary Hampton. I mean, Larry Gilly's 9th. Just solid.
Yep, for sure.
Solid names.
Even got
Gary Hampton, number 8. I got to give him a little recognition. Way to go, Gary Hampton. You're my fave. All right.
We got at 6.
Larry Gilly, Chris Hall, Jim Peter. Mike Cotton at 6. He and
Solid
Paul
as
do
well.
a lot of traveling, and they race a lot of races. So they are always, and they were out in the East Coast in 17. They were racing Maple Grove. I had Justin Pasillo driving my car, and we had to race Mike Cotton. So we did beat him. So I can at least say my car beat Mike Cotton, and that was a pretty great accomplishment for us, for me, even though I wasn't driving it.
Sweet.
What kind of car does Michael Williams drive?
67 Camaro, I believe it's a 67. Really nice, red, some white stripes and stuff on it.
Ah,
Goes a lot of rounds and a lot of times get knocked out heads up. Brian will appreciate that, but it happens. I mean, he goes a lot of rounds.
Well, that's what makes it great, right?
Yep.
He gets hit in the heads up, or he takes people out in the heads up.
No, usually he's getting hit. I mean, his car's no slouch, but going up against the car Mangus drives or Gilly, I mean, those are some really fast cars.
Yeah.
Let's go to the D6 standings.
D6. Stock Eliminator. Does anybody know who number 1 was?
Jody
Anybody?
Lang. Is that guy run a Copo?
Copo
chases
wagon.
Wait a
everybody
minute.
down.
Wait a minute, Bobby. All you ever talk about slow cars can't win. Slow cars, blah blah blah. Let's ask the world champion here. I didn't think slow cars could win.
Yeah. I'd have to definitely disagree. But it's not easy, for sure.
We could really get it off a hinge. What do you feel about True Start?
I think we
I
need
didn't
it.
get there yet, Brian. Come on, don't jump the gun. I gotta warm
I'm
up.
all
I
for
have to
it.
warm him up for that question.
Number 2, Tommy Gaynor. Didn't Tommy used to own Gibbs's car? That Camaro? Isn't that where that car came from?
His brother, John.
I think Billy wishes he had that car back. He doesn't get to do cool wheelies with that GTO. Number 3,
Brian, you
Derek.
forgot to say how many points Jody had. All right, Jody had 440 points. Second place, Tommy Gaynor had 277. That's just a commanding lead. Jody was tearing it up.
I was trying to leave that part out to keep it more fair for the other participants.
If he was a fast car, I wouldn't have made such a big deal out of it.
You know, really though, even the spread, like even Cal Method was still in there. Well, we missed Derek. What's Derek Elam? Was that 3?
Ellum, yeah. Speaking of slow cars. Two of the top 3, I mean,
What's he run?
he runs the Pinot wagon that runs like 16s. And I was watching the night after
Nice.
I clinched the world, was watching him first round. I don't believe he won, but he ran dead nuts in this crazy wind. It was like, how do you dial that thing? I have a tough enough time at low 12s. He's doing it in, mid 16s there, running right on. I don't know how they do it.
And then 4th, you got Cal Method. He was 235 points. That's a guy I'd like to get on the show. We need a connection with him. I bet he
Yep,
has a
for
good
sure.
story here too.
Oh yeah.
Like, how long's he been winning?
God, he's been racing since the 60s for sure.
Didn't he used to tow bar? I think I heard an interview. Didn't they used to tow bar everywhere?
Yep. If not drive it early on. drive him to the track and change tires, I believe.
That's awesome.
Does anyone do that nowadays?
Not in class racing.
Unfortunately, the ring package would probably make it about 10 miles, and
Let's be done.
we'd be missing about 50 horse. Everybody after a first round qualifier should have to drive to the nearest drive-in and get ice cream, and then go back to the track for second round qual. And then 5th, Jeff Lane, and yeah, 233 or 223. So another close race there on 6. Then there's
Larry McClanahan.
what about the best division, D5? I think that's the toughest one.
You're skipping over Superstock, pal. Do you know that?
Did we do super stock for any of the other ones?
Nope.
No.
Just,
You're just making your way through stock. I race stock. I don't care about the other classes.
Is there any other classes? D5.
All right, we'll stop at 5. We got to cut it at 5. D5.
Well, nobody's
Stop.
going to listen if we just talk stats or talk this whole time. Like, I don't want to be like the news report. Most good news organizations have like some really interesting things, and then they throw sports in there that nobody cares about.
Well, let's talk about the
Early.
fact that Jeremy Romero and Ted Romero finished 1 and 2 in D5. Is that a father-son? A
believe it's
pair of
brothers.
brothers? What's the deal?
I believe it's brothers.
That would be a heated battle there, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I'm glad my brother doesn't race stock, because that would be the worst competition I'd ever experienced.
No,
You got to mention though. I
Slightest
believe Jeremy's only 22.
Yeah, I think so. And
wow.
then look at number 3, another slow rolla, Brent Kopeka. That's pretty good. It's got-
Kopeka, that's
Yep.
your buddy. Yeah, you've been talking him up all year. That's
it was fun
2020
watching him.
was the year of the slow car.
It would have been better to see a slow car racing in Vegas instead of the Duster, but it was kind of cool to see him go both ways. Number 4, Scott Burton. And number 5 is Dwayne Shetland.
I thought he was a. I thought Scott Burton was a Washington State D6 guy. Scott and
Nope.
Brad.
Brad is, but they're from Colorado. Scott stayed, and Brad moved up here to be an engineer at Boeing quite a few years ago, I believe.
Ah, okay. Okay.
Seems like there's a lot of fast people working at Boeing. How does that work? Let's see. Yeah, so
Shetland. He
Yeah.
won a race at the end of the year. He's the 446 back,
I believe so.
the black one, black stripes.
Yep,
Is that the guy?
that's him.
Steve Couch. Oh, Scott Burton, 287 points. Shetland had 286 points.
Wow.
4 and 5. No, Jody, what do you get? You get paid for first and second and third in the divisional standings?
Yes, I believe so.
And then for national standings, what is it? Top 5
Two.
get paid?
Top 2.
Oh, really?
Oh, just the 2.
Are you guaranteed? But you're guaranteed entry to any national now, right?
Yep.
That alone's almost better than winning money.
Yeah, for forever. He's guaranteed national event entry forever. He doesn't have to run. You don't need grade points anymore. So that's a wonderful thing.
Yep, for sure.
Depends what next year looks like. You know,
Exactly.
it's I sure hope it starts off better than this year. Like, let's just open the tracks, use your best judgment. You know, if you're sick, don't go. But let's actually get a full season in.
Yep. It's
Fortunately,
outside, so
Would be nice.
in South Dakota, our governor's got things figured out. So they said, you're adults, use your best judgment. And we're not going to dictate what you can or can't do. And that's pretty awesome. The only downside is we don't have a divisional or a national event here either. So we have to drive to the either Minnesota or Iowa. They're not.
Denver.
None of those states are quite as open with their restrictions. So let's just hope this all goes away and we can all get back to normal racing.
Yeah. Well,
Agreed.
we just had tonight, New Jersey governor just they're shutting everything down. A maximum of 10 people indoors, and a maximum of 25% at a funeral or a church. Businesses all closing at 10 p.m. So we're headed in a bad direction now. They're saying that the cases and everything are up here. So
Same
I don't
here.
know what's going to happen here.
Well, you'll
So
have more
hoping for
time
the
to
best next year.
you'll have more time to make your car faster. That
I don't want to make it fast. I'm fine with it being slow. I have Jody Lang on the horn right now. He's going to tell me how to win. Jody, how did you get started in racing?
Just kind of on a whim with a friend. We were just talking about it. Always liked watching it on TV. I mean, obviously not stock, but just drag racing in general. And go out to a couple high school drags and watch it. And didn't really set the hook there, but probably 85 started looking into getting a bracket car, and later that year got a bracket car and worked on it for maybe a year and a half, and took it out of the truck and started having some fun.
What kind of car was it?
It's a 69 Chevelle. Still have it. Just a small block, mid 11s. Nothing super cool, you know, like a 2000s Camaro doing wheel stands and stuff. But
Well, you started in a 69 Chevelle going mid 11s, so you were probably running what, the street class or the heavy Eliminator class, and
yeah,
you
back
ended up
then it
in a
was
car
heavy.
that goes 12s.
Yeah, went the wrong way, right?
So you went from chasing people to being chased instead of the other way around. Is that what I'm getting at?
Yeah, I suppose, because then it seemed to immediately kind of go to pro. I know it wasn't. It was heavy for quite a while, but yeah, because it was, I believe, 12 to 13.99, I believe, and then now it's what, 13.99 all the way down to eights or something, 750
8,
for
yeah,
pro.
I think 9 flat. Last time I bracket raced,
Yeah,
I
that
don't know what it is
that
now.
could be, but definitely a big difference.
What track were you learning the ropes at? What's your home track?
Seattle International Raceway at the time, now Pacific Raceways,
Okay, is
where
that
where I
what
lived
somewhat
back in the
close to you,
where I
or
lived back in the day. Yeah, that was 15, 20 minutes away as well. So,
What when did you get in stock then?
well, pro started, like 85, 86 with the bracket car. Then the national event came back in 88 up at Seattle. It was gone for a while. And I'm watching guys that I bracket raced against out there running, and I'm sitting in the stands. I'm like, it was actually Don Elgin, of all people. I don't know if you guys heard of him. He's kind of local. And like, man, I've raced that. I beat him. He's beat me. Blah blah blah. What am I doing here sitting in the stands? So about 91, I'm like, I didn't want to change my bracket car around. I want to leave it what it was, and started looking. And hey, look at the station wagon in the back of the National Dragster. That looks like a cool car. And yeah, that was probably right above where Brian lives, but in Canada, like Saskatchewan, Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan, where I got the wagon from, believe it or not. So
And that was
way over there.
in 91 you said?
I think about the end of 91's when I got it. And it took me
wow?
every bit of well over a year to get that thing under the index. It was frustrating after buying a turnkey car.
So it was a race car then when you bought it. You just
Yep.
had to work on it, wrench on it.
Yep.
But did you pick the combo for a reason, or was this the opportunity you found that car and liked it, or did you research the combo before you bought it, or?
A little bit. A buddy had a wagon, and I kind of knew about the 305 and stuff, but I didn't, kind of like where you probably were 2 years ago or what. I didn't know anything. When you hear stock, you're thinking it's the stock motor. Like you
How
can't
hard
do
could that
anything.
be,
Right, exactly. And that class seemed affordable at the time for me. I wasn't making a whole lot of money back then, so kind of like that. And I have a little soft spot, for the wagons. I like wagons for whatever reason. But
So was it a class car when you bought it, or you bought it and made it a class car?
no, it was a class car. Just it wasn't made too clear that it wouldn't run under the index when I bought it, and that's the way it goes. But like I say, it was fun. Frustrating, but fun.
So a guy should have just took it and drove her Bobby races. That way you can go under easy.
Oh, he's in Seattle, isn't it? Like sea level there.
Pretty much, yeah.
What led to the super stock car?
Just at that point, it was like, I think back even with the wagon, that class was full tree. Always loved super stock, obviously, wheelies, big tires, and full tree again, and just kind of went from there. That was 2004, I believe, when I got that thing. So I always loved the classes. Yeah.
Now, your brother Toby used to race. Did he? You guys, I'm sure, traveled together. Now, is he older or younger than you? And did he help get you involved in it also?
No, other way around. He's older, but I got him into bracket racing at first, and then slowly into the stock eliminator thing later on. Not too much later, but 4 or 5 years after he started bracket racing, he was already getting into the class deal. So
On your wagon, when you got it, what would you say what was the first big hurdle? Like, what did you work on that you felt like you made the most progress? Like, did you start on engine right away, or was it chassis, or was there?
no, I knew nothing about quadrajets and learned a slow learning process, but basically all of 92 tuning it. And the biggest thing was the block that was in it was just a POS. It was really bad. So once I got rid of that, then it was kind of uphill from there. It was a big difference, just the block, which was ring seal basically. And went from there. But yeah, the Q Jet's kind of a little finicky to say the least. But we figured it out. And yeah,
How long did it take you to get under?
when they raised the index 2/10, literally. Yeah, before my first real race, the winner of between 92 and 93, they took the indexes up 2/10. That was it.
What if they'll do that again
at
this
that-
year?
They keep going the other way.
You're going the
Got to
wrong
be frustrating
way.
for guys. Yeah, for guys starting out, it's got to be frustrating.
You know, and that's
Yeah,
it's interesting how there's just
right. When I started, Super Stock L stick was 1155, and we were going like 1130s. And then that first year, they dropped them all 3/10, and it was 1125, and we were just like, oh, come on.
Yep, heartbreaking. It is.
So was the car fairly consistent then once you got the block situation figured out, or
Yeah, because before that, when that whole year of 92, I'd tune it as I'm racing it and all that, and it was just kind of all over the board. And I didn't know really how to drive it with shift points, and I come from a bracket car, just shift it as high as you can. It's going to go faster. Well, you start learning on accident. Oh, it kind of likes being short shifted, and just little things you pick up. Just not a lot of guys I knew. Nobody around here had that combination, so couldn't go right up to him and ask him what he did. Or there was guys, back in the Midwest and back east, I'd call them up, and of course, stock guys are, a lot of them don't want to share their information. So especially when you don't know them, you're just calling them up out of the blue.
well, they might tell you something. Is it good information or not? It's probably the question.
True. Yeah, that's true too.
Do you do your own? Do you have a quadrijet guy, or do you do your own, or do you got any recommendations for guys out there that are struggling with a quadrijet?
Well, the one that came on the car, I don't know really what it was, but somebody, I think it was probably Cal Method. He always had W.A. Lee on his car, and talked to him, and we recommended it. And some other guys recommended Val Hedworth, and there wasn't a whole lot of guys that I remember back then, but those were the two I can kind of remember. And went with the Hedworth one, and most of that carburetor's still in the car today. So
Nice. Do you do any of your own mechanic work, or do you have a motor guy and a trainee guy, or how much of that do you do yourself?
yeah, I try to do most of it, like the tranny with the 200 stuff. I can do the glides and the 350s, but Leo Glassbrenner does the 200 that I use. But motor stuff, I like doing all that stuff myself. Just obviously need to have a machinist to do everything, and I'll do the assembly on it.
Well, that makes me feel good because I got a Leo metric 200 and getting ready to send him another one, have him make sure it's all freshened. And when I got my car running, I started with the turbo 350 just to make it go back and forth. And I've actually picked up that the metric 200 from Gibbs there out by you, and it's got the Remac on it. I'm like, oh, who's this guy? And put it in my car and went 2.5 tenths faster. And I'm like, geez,
Oh, wow.
if everything you could do could add 2.5 tenths, like how hard is this class, right?
That's right.
There might be something better out there, but yeah, Leo's my guy now. I just call him, and
Hey, he's a good guy. Another tough Division 7 guy, really tough in both classes.
yeah, it's fun watching that Copo go down the track.
Yep.
So you run a auto 1-2 then, or do you have a manual shift guy or an E-shift guy, or what do you?
Just do it, shipped it myself.
Doesn't
Like it.
When I had my 350 in the car, I kind of did my own auto 1-2, and it left in second gear one time, and that was it. I was done with the whole auto 1-2 thing. So supposed to be faster, but I'd rather be able just to move the lever and have the thing shift than relying on governors and trans pressure and whatever else controls all that auto stuff. So
Do you ever think about going to a 4-speed?
I'd like to drive one before I hang it up. I would. Probably not going to be my own, but I would like to try that.
I think there's a few people out there racing for points that would hope you would.
Well, you listen to all these podcasts like John McLaughlin. Hey, it's more forgiving, so it's got to be better, right?
It's easier.
He never said easier. He said more forgiving.
It would be fun though.
Yeah,
I can
that's
vouch for that.
so. Then basically, you've had the same car since '91. Like, how many passes are you making a year in that? Do you keep track of that, or?
I'm not a good run counter, but it's the last, I don't know how many years that thing I've been racing it more, which I never used to like to do. I like to save runs, and this year there wasn't a whole lot of bracket racing, but they had a foot brake race up here. I ran it the last 3 or 4 years, and hard to say, 150 to 200, but way back when I first got that thing, it was because we ran Wednesday, Fridays, and Saturdays up here at Seattle. It would be up there at least 2 of those test days a week. So trying to figure it out.
Are you having to freshen your training or anything in that time, or are you getting all season out of one?
No, I only freshen that thing probably. I have 2 of them now. Probably every 3 years. You take it to Leo after 1 year, he just kind of laughs at you, tears it open, goes, "What'd you give me this for?" So
That's kind of what I found. Like, everybody's like, "Oh, you can't run a metric." I put 175 runs on this year and took it apart. It was just like new inside. It's like,
yeah,
everybody's
pretty
like, "Oh,
pretty
every 100
incredible.
rounds, you got to take them apart. You got to take them apart." And I thought maybe I just got lucky and had a good one, but maybe I just got the right guy working on it, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's hit and miss on some of that stuff, but that's good.
Well, I think the thing I've noticed is there's things you can lighten and that make sense, and there's things that get lightened that don't make any sense. And
Right.
when you look inside a couple of them, there's parts that, okay, this looks a little sketchy. Why would you do that? Typically, those are the parts that fail, and I feel that he does a pretty good job at not doing that stuff. So
Right. True.
no reason to go anywhere else, I guess, for myself. But
Not if it's working.
yeah. So then next year, do you plan on traveling a lot or just hitting divisional races? Or are you gonna go race us all in St. Louis, or what are your plans?
Wish I could. I doubt that's going to happen, but if Pomona and Vegas and Phoenix don't go off, I mean, I think that Midwest deal's right around there, isn't it? April, or everything's supposed to start up in April on the West Coast. So
Yeah, it's the last weekend in April there. I
the
think
way
that'll,
they're shutting things down up here, who knows what's going to happen?
yeah, it'll be a good deal. I think it'll generate quite a bit of excitement. Been getting a lot of feedback. People are pretty excited, and I feel that at least he's doing it the right way. Having tech and
Yeah.
qualifying to make it, heads up races, like that's what it takes to.
That's right.
You want to be a purist. I mean, you could argue about all the rules and stuff like that, but those are like 3 main fundamentals that you have to have if you're going to call it stock eliminator racing, as far as I'm concerned.
True, for sure.
We have to persuade him to do class eliminations too. Remember we mentioned that. So I'm hoping he can do that.
Yeah, it's the part about the
Then-
sports nationals we used to have was class during sports nationals as well, but everything's down to like all that Vegas stuff was all 2-day races, except for the national event. So it makes it kind of hard that way. But yeah, that'd make it a good trip for anybody if you had class then. So you got
Yeah,
two,
class and
two
and
races,
even
right?
better
Isn't
if
that
it
how it's going to go off?
paid.
Yeah, it's also,
So
I
we'll
think,
see where he takes that.
I kind of see his point though, like where you, the first time, like, keep it attainable and keep it where you can keep everything running smooth. The worst thing you can do is get 128 cars there and then have a hiccup and not get the whole thing run or something, or if you get a rain or there's a lot
Yep.
of things that can happen that can really change the schedule a lot. So
Sure CRT will be posting some kind of contingency there, right?
that's the plan. We'd actually like
I
to,
already thought of one.
we'd like to do
You ready
more of
for
that.
it? It's going to be the true start contingency. If you're the slower car and the faster car, red light's worse than you, you win.
You get
Our
that? Yeah.
contingency, my contingency pack, my personal contingency package. Craig and Brian don't have to sign on to this one. This could be just mine.
I was thinking like the worst light that wins in the last 3 rounds. The worst winning light.
Hmm.
You got to
Got
keep
some
it
history
interesting.
with that, do you? Or
We'll have Craig pick one too, since he's becoming a A knowledgeable racing enthusiast. No.
He'll probably pick the prettiest car contingency or something, knowing the.
It has to be the sexiest if it's going to win.
Is that driver or car?
You choose.
Oh, it's a rabbit hole we don't want to go down.
Talk about sexy cars. I like them golf cart wheels you got on the front of that wagon, Jody.
The rubber bands.
So we know how. I mean,
How big is that
to
tire?
cut lights as consistently as you do in that car. What are they? 24-inch tires?
No, those are too tall. 23s.
Oh wow.
Wow.
Do you save money
They
that
do.
way? Are they cheaper? Is that?
No. I think they do make a 22, but the headers might drag.
I would not have headers
Aye.
left if I had that short a tire. I think on my car.
Yeah. I don't like them, but it's necessity with lights. And as soon as they went the LED route, I don't know, probably knocked off 15 to 200, something like that off the reaction time at the time. But yeah, it makes the car pretty ugly with that small of a tire. It's like a 4/10 Pro like car or something.
What do you leave at for RPM?
Yeah, like at Vegas, I was right about 28. I can't get a whole lot higher. I mean, I probably could with some brake work, but then you had really good brakes on that car and you have issues at the finish line when you go to get rid of somebody or what have you. So
Do you use a two-step or just foot brake?
just always foot brake that car. No two-step.
Well, you can't argue it's working.
I need to work on my super stock car so I can foot brake it. I've thought about doing that, but it's take a lot of work, I think.
Do you practice the tree a
You'd
lot in
rather
the
foot
off
brake
season?
than use the trans brake?
Yeah, I'd like to. I've tried it. It just the brakes on that thing. I can't get it even close to where I would need to be to cut a light in that thing, unless I put on some 23s or something up front.
Do you spend a lot of time in the off season practicing on a practice tree, or
I wouldn't say a whole lot. I tend to, if I start doing it a lot, I tend to start playing the game instead of using it as a tool. So I'll just do runs here and there, let it go, and come back to it. And wish we had more practice tree races up here, whatever you want to call them. But I know a lot of areas will have those. A lot of guys will put those on. We've had a few, but not as many. It's kind of a good time, get everybody together, which obviously can't do that now, but in the past, it's always been a good time.
this spring I contemplated when everything was shutting down and it didn't look like you were going to be able to go anywhere. I'm like, we should figure out how to do like an online like race. Like, I don't know how you could do it and not get a bunch of cheaters. It would be pretty cool to go in and do a ladder.
I think you just have your camera pointed right at the tree you're using.
Yeah,
That's what I know guys that do the online stuff, but they all do top bulbs, so that's no fun.
that'd be kind of cool. Take everybody gets 3 hits at the tree, and that's how you qualify. Take the average time, come up with a ladder. And
Nice.
I think that would be kind of fun.
Yep.
And obviously, you don't need a lot more practice, but there's some of us that it would really be beneficial for.
Just be fun, good camaraderie.
That's probably the worst thing about winter is just not being at the track. It's like, man, I get sick
Yep.
of calling these guys all the time. I haven't seen them in a week. You feel like you're missing out. Like part of your family's
Yep.
gone.
That's right.
Bobby, I think you should get a wagon.
I'm telling you. I have a hard enough time dialing a hatchback. I don't know how I would do with a wagon. I probably should go a little smaller on my tires. I had the 24s on there, and I went back to 26s, and I don't know. I feel like I was red lighting with the 24s, but what kind of rollout do you use when you practice, Jody?
I think it's right around like 26, 28, somewhere in there.
How? All right, so you're off the starting line, and knowing you, it's 17 or better, and you're getting chased by a 10-second Camaro. What? Take us through a run for you. What's going on? I mean, how do you keep pulling this off on a consistent basis?
Repetition? I don't know. I don't know. It's not easy. You got the weather like Vegas. I don't know how we do so well at Vegas sometimes. Sometimes, like well, obviously the national event, you just look like an idiot. Not because I red lit or nothing like that, but sometimes the wind. If you're gauging the wind, like John was saying on the other podcast, like you can look up at the flag, plan for a tailwind, half track, gust of headwind comes up, you're 1200s over, and you're like, what happened? But just constantly diagnosing the wind and but as far as running a faster car, just depends who it is, but I just try to kind of know where I'm at with the dial and obviously try to hit the tree pretty good every time if I can and see how it plays out.
What tips can you share with us if you're going down track? I mean, you can't change the dial in once you're in the burnout box, and you see those wind socks moving. They're not moving. They're moving. I mean, you have to have a plan for every situation.
Yeah, if
So,
it was a
what
if
can-
it
what
was a
can you share
headwind
with
and
us?
if it was a headwind, then it's a tailwind. That's a way better situation than the opposite way. If it's the opposite way and I'm running a faster car and I'm not holding a bunch, which I rarely do, it's over, right? That guy's not going to slow down even close to what I slow down. So
It's almost
that's
like
way
guys
back.
you gotta get a sail in your car so you can pick up some wind or that's one thing like that. You can't really avoid a crosswind probably even. Do you find that affects you in that big square car too or not too much?
Think too much on the ET, but like at Vegas there, that the day they canceled that Sports Nationals, it was in my super stock car. It was really bad. You come out from beyond the grandstands and it just hits you, and you're really not prepared for it. Because like for me, I'm looking in the mirror, looking over my shoulder, and you feel something. You look up, and you're a car width out of the groove. It's instant when they were having, I believe it was 25, 30, 35 mile an hour gusts that weekend. So pretty hard to. I don't know how the lighter like the comp, the super gas cars weigh 1,000 pounds lighter. I don't know how they were even going down the track. That's why they finally called it.
Yeah, that was kind of a hard break there. I think they called the race. I know like Doug Ingalls got blown off pretty good there in his comp car, and that
Yep.
could have possibly affected the outcome of the world champion run there. So that was kind of a
Yep.
heartbreak, and then they call it a half hour later. But I mean, I
Yep.
don't remember. I thought that car weighs like 20. Aren't they like 2,600 pounds? Like I can only imagine. And you're that long. Like when the wind catches, that would have to be a ride.
I wouldn't even think they're that heavy.
Yeah, I know they definitely don't weigh much, and that's just the changing conditions. But it's pretty impressive that you can show up at that track and do as good as you can. And it's probably just knowing, probably seat time. Would you say that's one of the things that probably helps you the most? Is just knowing more what the feel of the car is and what's happening when it's happening.
Yeah, and just flags, just like John was saying, if you're looking at 3 different flags, they're all blowing a different way. You just kind of pick one depending on which direction the wind's going, something like that, and stick with it. And I mean, sounds kind of funny, but cross your fingers and stage the car. I mean, if you've never ran Vegas, you won't even believe it. It's incredible.
That's kind of my plan every time I go to the track. Like, all right, we're just gonna throw a dart. I think this is where we're gonna run. All right, we'll just hopefully rip the tree down. Whatever happens, happens. But so that's
Right.
an advantage of a slower car is you actually have time to watch flags.
Have a sandwich.
Yeah, we get to have a sandwich waiting to take off and catch you guys.
That's right.
I find that's probably the hardest thing. Like you can say that true start or whatever, but just sitting there waiting. I'll never forget the very first time I went down the track, and that was my Charger, and I raced the Dish Network like utility van. I think he was like 18, 30 something. I'm in the street car, and I'm in my '68 Charger, and I was probably dialed like a 1205 or 1208. They're like, "Oh, don't go into your late turns," and I'm waiting, and his big old utility van going down the track, and he kept getting smaller and getting smaller, and I'm like, "Is this thing ever gonna change?" And
The tree's broke.
I don't know if I'm in right. Did I stage right? You know, and all of a sudden it was green. I probably had like a 200 light. It was still fun running them down. Like that was kind of a trip. I still don't think I've raced anything that had that big a spread since, but
That's insane.
you know, it's at least in the 10s or 11s, you know, that's a second or two, but man, you start talking 6-8 seconds of waiting there, that just kills me.
Yeah.
How did it feel to get beat by a van?
I think I actually beat him because he had like a 340 lighter. I mean, it was just
Like how he assumed you got beat.
no. I think I'm pretty sure I did beat him because it was like 3 or 4 rounds the first time. So
You would have remembered if you got beat by an 18-second car, trust me.
I sure as heck wouldn't admit it if I did. So I don't know why we're even continuing this conversation.
Well, the way you never fit story, I just assumed, you know.
That would be almost as bad as losing to a Mustang, Bobby.
Oh goodness.
I can't say that I lost to a Mustang twice this year. The same frickin' guy both times. Alex Weiss, thank you very much. Next year it's changing though. He's got 2 on me, so now I have something to shoot for. Do you have a
We'll come out
nemesis?
to the East Coast.
Do you have a nemesis, Jody? Is there a guy that's always you look forward to racing every year?
I don't know if you look forward to racing your nemesis, but Nemesi, whatever it would be, but no, it's just our division gets a bad rap up here because it's fairly small, and which I think makes it tougher because sometimes you're running that you can run a guy. I'm not going to say almost every divisional, but sometimes like me and Brad Burton, there's times it feels like we're running each other almost every race, whether it's here or Sonoma or that's I think makes it tough.
Is there a lot of M cars in that division? Like, is there a heads up potential all the time, or?
No, there's a couple, but like the fast ones, like I put mine in L if they're an M and vice versa or whatever. But there's not a whole lot. It's definitely not like running the faster class, which was another reason for getting the wagon. There wasn't obviously a whole lot of people, and I believe it was O at the time I bought that thing. But
See, I kind of did the opposite. I'm like, where is everybody fast at? I want to go get beat up by the fast guys, so let's get an A or B.
right.
And let's get a car that's been hammered really hard just to make it really educational to get going. But
Way to dip your feet in slowly there.
what's the toughest combo to get in a race the fastest guy in stock?
He just jumped.
And a 25K race was probably going to be about 10 or 12 of them at that race, right?
You know, that's funny because I actually said that should be a side bet. We're going to ask that question, Bobby. Make the note. That's our new podcast question is how many B cars will be at the big money class race. We'll just start a betting pool. What's your bet, Jody? What do you got? 10 cars in B?
I'd say 10 to 12, just guessing, but I'm assuming it's going to be a huge turnout. So.
I'm guessing there's going to be at least 10 B cars, and there's going to be 5 going to A to try to hide from those in B. This is what my theory is.
Ryan, put it in super stock K automatic instead, and go run super stock. Probably
There you go.
better idea for you.
Yeah, there's some tough cars there too. Like I'd have to add because so in A I'm 3215, and to go to like super stock J I got to be 3600 pounds, and
Oh, wow.
it's a
Is
pretty
it that much?
Yeah, it's a pretty big swing, and there's some fast cars there. You got Spears always running in J. I think I can run I is the same weight as A. So hopefully with some improvements I can get under the index. So that'll be my new hiding class. There's not a lot of I cars up here, so. But if we make it fast enough, we won't have to hide anymore. So I want to go look for a few guys.
It's not a big deal. There's switch classes nowadays with you got 850 cars in either class, so potentially, right?
Yeah, that's
So
for sure.
as far as getting chased, so it's not the big disparity like it used to be 15 years ago or something where super stock had the 8s and stock was in the 10s. 10s were slower way back when.
Yeah, and you know what? Realistically, if you were I'll go back to, so I had a race against Mike Mans and Brainerd this year, and I think I dialed like 1082, and I think he was 863. You know, and it's just as hard for the fast car to read a slower car as I think it is for the slow car to read the fast ar. I think it's almost like it neutralizes it some is what I've found.
Sure.
Unfortunately, I've been in that situation twice with the same guy that I made the wrong call both times. So I'm 0 for 3 on the right decision whether to hit the brakes or stay in it, but that's all part of the learning curve is just seat time and figuring out what to do and what not to do.
Yep.
I think my new plan is I'm going to write my plan down and then I'm going to open it at like the 8th mile and just throw it out the window and do something different because
Don't go with your first instinct. Go with your third,
Yeah.
second, or third.
yeah, I had a little voice in my head, hit the brakes, hit the brakes. I'm like, no, I'm not hitting the brakes. And yep, wrong. Breakout.
It's like opposite George on Seinfeld, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
You just
Boy, I was way off. John McLaughlin posted here on the Facebook live feed that Doug's car weighs 1,340 pounds with him in it.
was gonna say 26 sound a little heavy.
That's insane.
Wow.
Wow, 1,300.
I think Doug has to eat a sandwich because he can't weigh very much and still have that car be 1,340. He hasn't been eating enough John's cooking. He was probably 40 pounds heavier that day after supper.
Yeah, wish I would have known about John's cooking at Phoenix. I wasn't pitted too far from him. I would have slid down there for a meal.
Yeah, this is like big talk of the town here. Is John's cooking? I gotta check this out.
Maybe that'll be our sponsor. John's Kitchen will be
John's Kitchen.
Class Racing Today, brought to you by John's Kitchen. Use the discount code What's for Supper.
What is his specialty? Just about everything, it sounds like, huh? No matter what he's...
Pretty typically just, I think it's steak and potatoes every time I'm there, but he's got the special seasoning. I don't know if it's clutch dust or what he puts on there, but
That's
as often as that guy's under working on his car, I don't know where he has time to go shopping, so it's probably the clutch dust that makes the steaks taste better.
right.
Yeah. Yeah, I gotta try it out.
I have a totally off. Sorry, my question is off the wall, off topic, but Division 7 Super Stock. Jimmy DeFrank and Brian Brossart both have 364 points, and they have Jimmy DeFrank in first and Brian in second. How do they decide? What are they going to do? Is it tied? They both ran 7 events. Did they like split the money here? What's the deal?
I know when I've been tied, which I've always lost the tiebreaker, it's usually, I think, I don't know, it could change, but it's usually whoever has the most in-division points is one of the first few tiebreakers. I assume that's probably what happened there, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
Because there's like, I don't know, how 5, 6, 8 tiebreakers or something. It keeps going and going.
Was the final
It
one
should
rock,
just-
paper, scissors?
Well, the first one you'd think would be if they ran each other, but that's usually down the list,
That's
I
what I was.
believe.
Yeah. Is it head to head? Is not the first one. Okay.
It didn't used to be.
'Cause they're both 364. Then Don Keene was third at 310. Kyle Rizzoli again fourth, and Brad Rounds was in fifth. I love Don Keene's car. I'm a little partial, but
Facebook
65
Live
Mustang.
Facebook Live feed
Fact.
says most wins.
Most
Round,
event
yeah,
wins.
most round wins. There you go.
What a great community. They answer the questions we don't we have the answer. They have the answers for our questions. That's what I love about you guys. Oh. Chicken is the new favorite at John's Kitchen, he says, or Breezy's seafood bake. So, clutch dust must be universal. It works on chicken and seafood, along with steaks.
What's this, turned into a cooking show?
Yeah, we talk about everything.
Half the fun of being at the track.
It is, I don't normally eat. Are you a routine guy? Do you have some things you don't do on race day? Do you, like, not eat until after the race? Are you one of those guys?
No, I can't do that. I start getting the shakes. I know guys that do that, and they swear by it, but they get third, fourth, fifth round. Their driving goes to hell. It's like, dude, you got to eat. No, I just stay away from the caffeine and stuff like that, basically, is my biggest thing.
Do you drink coffee?
I do not.
You could probably put bigger front
In the
tires on
morning?
if you drank
Yeah,
coffee.
when you wake up.
Drink coffee.
That might help with your front tire size if you start drinking coffee. Maybe Folgers will sponsor your car.
Go back to 26s with some coffee. I might have to look into that.
Well, Maxwell House for that car.
You know, yeah, I'm giving the world champion advice on how to drive better. This is awesome. That's when you know the wheels have come off the bus. Hey, maybe you should put bigger tires on and drink coffee.
What do you eat throughout the day? What's your like? Do you avoid like just heavy foods? You just eat and just stay like,
Yeah,
satisfied?
yeah. I hate to learn that lesson years ago. Have a big lunch or something, and you go up there, cut a what used to be, 600 light or something. So yeah, something light, a little breakfast sandwich in the morning, and just kind of half a sandwich here, half a sandwich there, some crackers, stuff like that.
Do you have a crew that goes with you and helps you, or
Yeah, my girlfriend Martha, she's the wind watcher. Helps out quite a bit.
Ah.
The wind.
that would definitely be helpful? She like check the air pressure and make sure you put gas in, or
No, that's all up to me. Don't want to get too lazy.
well, with the year you've had this year, she must keep track of the lucky rabbit's foot or something. Like, do you ever lose that in the wagon? Because
I think she's got it in her pocket.
I like that Brian asked if you had a crew, and your answer was, "Yep, Martha."
That's it.
Perfect.
maybe she'll have
If there's
That's
Martha's crew school.
Nice.
So you're saying we should be interviewing her if she's the crew? You're just the talent.
the only time you really need a crew with what we do is, at least with my cars, no clutch. 'Cause if you're still in them both down to the late rounds, you just need a guy to cool the car off where you take off on the other one. And so if it's a local race, a lot of times I do have a guy here or there. There's a guy, Dennis, who lives around Woodburn. He'll come and help, and guys up here. But we only had one race up here at the Divisional. That was it. So
So what's your favorite track or most memorable track? Which one do you really like going to?
it's Vegas now. I like all of them really. I mean, I love Seattle because it's my home track, but doesn't have really good pits. But Pomona, Sonoma, Vegas, Phoenix, Woodburn, Mission's really nice. Like all of them for different reasons.
So what's your tow time to get to Vegas from your house?
That's basically a full day the way as slow as I tow. So tow slow, race slow. That's a good solid 22, 24 hours depending on which way you go. And a lot of times, like this time of year, you're avoiding weather, so going in certain ways. So
did you just leave the rig down there then and fly back, or how'd you do that?
yeah, I've done that most of the winters, but not if we're not going to start till April. I better get this thing home and do some work on everything. But like in between all the Vegas races, yeah, I was coming home, going to work, and come back to work for I think the national 3-4 days, and yeah.
So would you say this year there was one race that was obviously winning the world championships probably pretty memorable, but other than that, do you have something that just really stands out in your mind for one you'll never forget?
Yeah, I don't know, never forget, but the Boise final round, because I did get to run Derek Ellum there. So it's like a 4.5 second split or something. And like you say, man, you swear he's at half track before the tree's coming down. And it's just, I normally don't have to deal with that, but he's been tough. He almost won the division, I believe, 2 years ago. So he's, like I said earlier, they've came a long way with that thing. But it's hard waiting that long.
Yeah,
especially if you're not used to doing it, right?
Yeah.
Probably the nice thing that really helps you is you got enough diversity, right? Like you're racing really fast cars and there's some slower cars, and that's doing the same thing over and over again, racing the same type of car would definitely be harder to go from really fast to really slow, like that kind of neutral middle ground.
Right.
You see the same picture play out, you kind of know what to expect, but
Yep.
being on both sides, that's a little different.
Right. So you're Camaro, do you bracket race it a lot to practice, or what do you do?
Yeah, that's actually what I wanted was actually won the car in a raffle of all things. And
What Brian won't tell you is he won this car in a raffle with no engine, and needed to put an engine in it to make it more valuable to sell. But then he tells me that it's more valuable when you have some wins on that car. And so, as of now, he still has the car.
Got to get some wins stacked up.
Right.
well, I found him a lot more successful drag racing than I am fishing. So I sold my Ranger fishing boat and decided that it's just an awesome release. You get to drive to the track and no idea what's happening and trying to get things sorted out, but got to make some really good friendships over the last 2 years. And I this year I think I did probably the worst thing I can do and double entered it. And like Daryl Goheen's crazy. He'll sign up for 3 classes and just run the crap out of that thing. And my theory is, it happened to me a couple times this year. So it's like, all right, I'm in stock. I'm going to sign up for another class. That way, basically, I'm going to get like 4 qualifyings and try to get a better idea what to dial the car for, or just try to get a better feel for it. And my plan is, I'm going to go out first round in this other class, and then I'm going to be that much better for stock. And it's happened the first time I tried that. Pretty soon you're 3 rounds in on stock, and you're 4 rounds in on pro, and the car's hot, and trying to keep the battery charged. I'm just like, why am I doing this? Because I'm typically a one-man show. I don't have anybody helping me.
Yep.
But it's kind of like that stress inoculation that I do think has helped quite a bit, because you're just so busy. I don't have time to screw it up. But at the end of the day, I just like going down the track. So I'll race. I don't care if it's a bracket race or a class race. I may be starting to come full circle now, where I would rather go class racing or something for some money.
Right.
A trophy would be cool, because I've never won an actual race. So even if it's a trophy race or a check race, I don't know if it matters. But I'm getting a collection. My son was in my office the other day getting ready for homeschooling, and he's like, "Dad, where's your first place trophies?" He's like, "The kids at school asked me what the trophies were, and you got 2 second place trophies." And I'm like, I don't have one yet. So,
Tough love.
yeah. I'm like, don't worry, it's coming. It's see, I've got the second year I ever ran, I ran my brother's Duster that was a bracket car. I ran my Charger. I had a 68 Charger that I went to the race twice with, and the next year my brother said, "Oh, don't race your Charger, that's too valuable. Here, race my Duster." And he raced in Grand Junction, Colorado quite a bit. I think he won 2 track championships with it. It's a Duster, the 360, probably had 500 runs on it. And it was like the easiest car ever, right? Go make one pass. If it ran, I think 1149 to 1175. You make one pass, whenever it ran, I would just write that number on the windshield. And you would just go rounds. It was like Groundhog Day. Everything was the same. I'm like, oh, how hard is this? Bracket racing's awesome. Fortunately, the Camaro is a pretty good bracket car that way too, but and Allison, welcome to stock, where you're trying to, where do I want to be on the ladder? You want to dump at 1,000 feet, and that's all totally different dynamic. But last year I think I made roughly 100 passes in it last year in the new car, and it was a lot just to feel. I tell somebody, you go by like the cell phone store, and they have that inflatable guy on the out front waving, the arms waving, it's just flying everywhere in the wind. That's kind of what I'm like in the car. And this year it started to get boring. I think I probably had about 75 passes in this year, and it's like, what's wrong with my car? It doesn't seem like I'm going that fast. When you get your time slip, I went 1042 at 127. Geez, it didn't seem that fast. So any chance I get, I've got kids, so I just love racing, so any chance I get. But luckily with our associations, you can race just about, it seems like every other weekend, and go to a class race and race the associations. And if I'm there and there's something else, I'll sign up for it.
Nice.
Every time I do it, I swear I'm never going to do that again, because it gets to be a lot. But I don't know. At the end of the day, it's a race car. I should probably save it just for class racing, but that seems kind of counterproductive. I'm not afraid to drive it around town if I have to, and bracket race it. I mean, I just want to enjoy it, and I like cars, and there's no car cooler than a stock Eliminator car.
Yep. Cool.
And there's no feeling better than that wind light coming on at the finish line. So,
I will say,
even no matter what class it's in.
I always I say, there's two people that get their pictures taken, but the guys that do the biggest wheelies get a lot more pictures taken than the guys in the winner's circle.
That's true.
You just need a trophy for that.
The winner only gets his picture taken in the winner's circle. The guys doing wheelies get their pictures taken by everybody every round.
Yeah, that's true.
We're either winning or doing wheelies. I just got to figure out how to do both. But you bracket race yours still some or just stock now?
Go in stages. Like I say, the last few years I've bracket raced a lot more than I've had in a long time, and it's fun. You gotta, like you say, with maintenance, and that's why I kind of try not to. But it's fun to drive, so it's kind of nice to get out there and you run a guy that's running the same ET and you got them by 210, 60 foot, and they think they're broke when they're looking way out on the end. Especially around the Division 7 ET finals on the way to Phoenix this year, and there was a girl, I think we were both right around 12 flat. I'm going 108 top speed. She was going like 117. I think it was a newer Mustang. It's quite a disparity for the same ET. It'd be fun to drive something like that. 118 mile an hour sportsman bracket car.
That's almost as good as at a Carney this year. John McLaughlin had the Cool Air. A lot of listeners probably don't know what that is, but guy that he builds cars for, Westford has this really cool, I think it's a Cadillac, and he ran that this year in Kearney in the street class. It was pretty neat. It was in the trailer. He was hauling it to Phoenix for him, and that car rolls up, and we asked, I think it was the tech guy, like, oh, what do we put on there for a number? And they just put cool was his ID number for the race that weekend. And rolling off the gas, the thing left just putzed along, and it, I don't remember what he went. I think he went mid-12s, like 118, and he wasn't even leaving, basically just rolling off the gas. And it's pretty cool to watch it go down the track or two, and then you realize you're racing street cars, and how safe is that to have a $500,000 car out there going down the drag strip next to some other car that is out there for the first time that year.
Sure.
But no, I don't know, that's probably what I really like about the stock Eliminator racing is what's really sucked me into the world is just the camaraderie and the level of competition. I mean, there's some guys, nobody likes losing, and there's some tough rounds, but everybody's just so darn nice, and it's so much fun, and just the camaraderie with everybody, it just keeps you coming back and wanting to work a little harder and try a little harder to make your car more competitive. And
there you go. That's what it's all about.
I'd say you got that figured out just as good as any of us do this year, and that's pretty awesome.
Been doing it a long time. It's hard to fathom. It's 27 years or so I've been running that car. It doesn't seem like 27 years for sure. So nobody has cars that long.
And that's loyalty on your part. You stuck with that wagon for 27 years. Didn't go to something, faster.
Been tempted. And then you have a good year. You're like, why would I? And then you have a couple not so good years. Oh, maybe I should step up to like an EF car. But then you look at all the fast E and F cars, or that's a whole nother ball game there.
Yeah, that's one thing about our class racing is there's no real easy class. Like, there's combos that maybe are a little lighter, a little harder, but the level of competition, there's no easy class in this thing.
Yeah.
Not at all. If it was easy, everybody would do it, right, Brian?
Some of us are trying, but it's still not very easy.
Well, we could talk to Jody all night. I know I would love to get every ounce of information out of him that I could to help my program out. But Jody, it's been an honor and a privilege. Thank you for spending your night with us and pretending to be our friends today. And we appreciate you coming on here.
I appreciate you guys having this podcast, man. It's cool to watch and listen to, and a lot of times I'll walk around work with an earbud in, just listening to it. I can't watch it, obviously, but when I'm working, and just fun to hear you guys talk about racing, especially class racing. So neat deal, and I appreciate you guys having me.
Yeah, no problem. Congratulations on a great year, and thanks for coming
Thank
on
you.
with us. And yeah, to everybody out there
Keep up the
listening,
good work.
we're working on going to YouTube, being able to live stream on YouTube. We're getting it set up. We got a YouTube channel now, so go on to YouTube, look up Class Racing Today. Go ahead and subscribe to it and give us a like. That would be pretty awesome. We're hoping to in the next week or next episode or two to be able to go live with that. Just another platform. Everybody's leaving Facebook or doesn't have Facebook. It's just another way to get the message out there. And if you haven't went on to the Apple Podcast, go ahead and leave a review on there if they're positive. If they're not, you can skip that part. But that'll help us continue getting the message out there, and we're going to work on improving. And we got some really neat guests and some really neat upgrades we're coming with the show, and it's just been a lot of fun. I learn a lot, and I think there's people out there just maybe there's not that many, but there's a lot of people out there just looking to get into stock eliminator racing. We appreciate guys like Jody and Mike and John coming on and just sharing what knowledge they have, and that's what makes this so fun, is just a platform to share that and help people out and have more fun.
Yeah, definitely. I'd say that's a good choice if you get Cal Method on here one day. He's been around. He's got a lot of cool stories that just, that stuff where they would tear down after you win a race, so that you get torn down. I can't even fathom that. That's just, man.
That would be hard on Sunday.
Yep.
Let's
Trying
see.
to get to work on Monday.
24-hour drive home.
I'm in the semifinals. I got 24 hours. How much sick time do I have? Well, awesome. It's been great. Thanks, Jody, for coming on. And
Cool, man.
if you guys want to find us, go to classracingtoday.com. If you got feedback you want to send us, classracingtoday@gmail.com. Go on to the subscribe to us. You can find us on the Y Millbank under the Class Racing Today podcast. You can find us on YouTube. And everybody have a great week.
Take it easy.
Take care, everybody.
We're leaving just right there.
I think they're done.
Are they listening to you?